This dog coming up here, his name is Chance. He was heavily neglected early on in his life. He looked like he had practically never eaten before, he was so skinny. And now that his awesome foster parents have done a good job nursing him back to health physically, we need to see where he's at behaviorally. He's thought to be aggressive. He's obviously very reactive on the leash. I want to play this clip again so you can really hear the sounds he makes when he's on walks. This has basically been his life for the last few months or so.
No.
Now the goal of this first session here is basically just to find out what his limit is socially. I call it his social limit. So is he capable of walking by a dog while ignoring it? As you can see here, he's fully capable of doing that. So after this, we'll go to the next step and walk him next to a dog, and we just keep pushing it further and further until we reach the point in which he either becomes too overwhelmed to pay attention or he just can't handle it and he just becomes way too excited. Obviously this is simple for him, and now I'm testing to see if he's able to accept affection around another dog. If he was truly aggressive, he wouldn't care about any of my touch. All he would care about is staring at Marlon, who, by the way, has been walking back and forth behind the camera while I've been doing this. So walking next to a dog is much easier said than done. We need to practice safety first. So this is the safest protocol to basically do the handoff and get him to walk next to a dog. And as you can see, it's not always easy for dogs like Chance to ignore the dog they're walking next to. So it's important to have a dog that you have complete control over first, like Marlon in this picture, the black lab. And then you'll see on the way back here that by the end of the walk, which was just up the street and back, Chance is fully capable of walking next to him, coexisting with him while moving forward. It's always good for any dogs who are meeting for the first time to move forward together versus just meeting and maybe butting heads and not agreeing with each other right away. I need all of you to keep in mind that this is actually much less of a lesson, like a training lesson, than it is just me gauging where he's at socially. So he's thought to be an aggressive dog who could never be adopted out to a family that has another dog. So my job today in this situation is just to gauge where he's actually at. What is he fully capable of doing with proper guidance? So you see me turning around a lot. This is a process I like to call leash dancing. And basically I'm just asking him to walk around and do anything other than approach Marlon and smell him. I'm having Marlon stay in a down right now so he's not as much of a distraction for Chance.
Okay.
So as you can see here, you'll see Chance's nose start to turn on, and that's what I was waiting to see. Versus him just seeing Marlon like you saw in the very first clip of this video. He's actually taking time to use his nose and greet Marlon as dogs should greet. If a dog uses his eyes to greet, it's always going to end out bad. He's going to end up being reactive. If the other dog isn't well trained, he can respond to that, and all hell can break loose from there. So another purpose of the leash here is to sort of set a limit on how excited he can get. And when we keep him in that calm state of mind, he's able to access his nose and actually figure out who Marlon is before just seeing him and reacting. So this lesson here, you can obviously tell, is on a different day. It's his second lesson. And what I wanted to show you on the first lesson, but I lost a bunch of footage, was when I let Marlon get up, Chance just went nuts. He was just way too excited, couldn't quite calm himself down. So what I did was use a thing called a pet convincer. It's just compressed air. It's really loud. It knocks him out of whatever excited state of mind he would be in. And because I used that, it interrupted a certain state of mind. You'll see coming up here. Watch when he goes to sniff Marlon. He looks back at me once, then I call him back. The reason I'm able to achieve this right here is because of the pet convincer, because he knows if he doesn't listen, then the pet convincer comes, so he just chooses to listen. And as you can see, there's no sort of psychological damage done. He's fine. And I'm even able to let him off leash, which was that wasn't even my goal on that first lesson, but we did end up getting there, and you'll see him and Marlon start to play here in a little bit. But there's a lot of misconceptions out there that interrupting a dog in an overly excited state of mind, the dog can become more aggressive. And that's certainly possible. That's why I don't recommend anyone try what I'm doing here on their own. I'm just putting this video out there so people with dogs similar to Chance realize that there's still hope out there to rehabilitate their dog. But that pet convincer added relevance to the words that I was saying to him. Now he chooses to listen to the words I'm saying, so the pet convincer doesn't come. And that's okay, because he was not a dog who lacked any confidence. If anything, he had way too much confidence and he was way too excited all of the time. Now that we get rid of the excitement, we can access this calm state of mind where he can actually use his nose to get to know Marlon. Now you'll see here very quickly, basically right away, I choose to interrupt. Watch how I use my body pressure and a specific sound, and you see Chance just back off and stop. And at that moment, when he stops and sits down, I remove the pressure. So I walk away. I was the pressure. When he did what I wanted him to do, which was basically just leave Marlon alone, the pressure needs to stop then and there. If I prolong it and I keep adding pressure, he'll get confused as to what I was asking him to stop doing, as to what limit I was setting. But I was only able to do that because of the pet convincer. Without that, I wouldn't be relevant. But he knows that I'm able to interrupt him if I have to. If I have to interrupt a certain state of mind, he knows I'm capable of doing it. So he just chooses to listen to me in the first place, and then I'm able to communicate with him on more of like a quiet level instead of him getting way too excited and then me having to bring out the compressed air and interrupt that. Instead, I can just interrupt him before he gets to that excited state, and he can calm down to more of a neutral level. So this is something I just did quickly with the owners, just for them. I had to give them something to work on, because they don't have another dog. They are not going to be introducing Chance to other dogs, but they are going to be walking him every day. So now that they see they can walk two dogs together with Chance and Marlon here, walking Chance alone will be easier, since they know now that they can walk two dogs, so walking one should be a piece of cake for them now.